How long does it take to get a green card if you're married to a green card holder, not a U.S. citizen, but a lawful permanent resident? I'm Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi. We help married couples get green cards all the time, and I really want to do this video because, frankly, it's not good news how long it's going to take if you're married to a green card holder. So I want to fill you in because there's a lot of confusion about how the timelines work. People worrying about how long the I-130 petition is. So we're doing an overview and important things to be aware of, and in there we're going to put timelines and expectations that vary dramatically. We're going to put it out there. All the information here is for general education only, not intended as individual legal guidance. So let's start. A marriage green card requires a showing that you're really a couple, as well as an affidavit support section and a background section about the foreign national, make sure they don't have major issues, criminal history, visa violations in the past, that kind of stuff. There's generally two ways you can file and get the green card. One is if you're inside the United States for I-45 adjustment of status, and another is if you're outside the United States, consular processing. So those are the big stuff. Every case, no matter what, requires a Form I-130 petition for alien relative. This is to show that your marriage is real. Once you submit the petition for alien relative spouse, what you get is a priority date. The date the government gets it is your place in line. It's a receipt date, but they call it the priority date. And so that holds your place and where you are because there's a big line that's emerged. Essentially, every year, a limited number of these spouse of a green card holder, green cards, minor child of a green card, green cards are issued. So if there's more demand than numbers, all of a sudden a line emerges. So every year it gets reset, the new ones come, but you got to know your place in line. So when it's your turn, you know it. Now let's go into a situation that's more typical for these spouse or green card cases is that the spouse and maybe the minor child is living outside the United States. And you have to do what's called consular processing. First, you submit that I-130 petition. Once it's approved, then you work with the embassy to schedule an appointment to have an interview. Now, the I-130 petition right now is taking average 3 years to be approved. That's frustrating a lot of people because they expect to be done much faster, especially when they see spouses of U.S. citizens get that case done in a year. Once the I-130 petition is approved, the case gets transferred to the Department of State. That's the umbrella. First, it's the National Visa Center, the NVC, for them to get certain documents, affidavit support, DS-260, background information, and the civil documents, marriage certificates, divorce records, police records, stuff like that. Once that document check qualified, they're satisfied with the documents submitted, you get put in a line to have an interview scheduled. Now, the I-130 petition has taking around 3 years to be approved. Once it moves to the Department of State, depending on which embassy you're going to, the timeline is going to vary. The Department of State thankfully published a new website in May 2025 that gives you an estimate of when they're scheduling, giving interview notices for people that are documentary qualified, but it's wide variance depending on the embassy. If you're in London, it can take 2 months to happen. If you're in Iran or Pakistan, it might take over a year to 2 years or something like that to get an interview. And to add insult to injury, once the interview happens, they may put you in what's called administrative processing, more background checks, which take a week, a month, 6 months, a year, even longer, unfortunately. So a typical case like this, 3 to 5 years, is pretty normal. But let's, unfortunately, again, I got to say that. But let's look into what this visa bulletin thing means to see how the timelines work. So if you want to figure out what the visa bulletin is, you can just type in visa bulletin into Google, and the first website usually comes to the State Department. And then you click on it, and it comes out like this. I'll share on my screen. Every month, there's a new bulletin comes out. They update it based on how many people have got visas, how many people are, how much space they have left. So let's look at June 2025. This is again the F2A preference category, spouse of a green card holder or minor child of a green card holder. Now there's two charts because this is what confuses people. There's a final action date charts. If you're going through the embassy system, you have to base it on the final action date charts. And the F2A categories here, essentially every country in the world is on the same kind of timeline except for Mexico. That's a little bit different, a little backed up. But let's say all these other countries, January 1st, 2022 is the cases that are getting approved for green cards right now. Right now, it'll be May 2025 for the June 1st, 2025 calendar. So as you see, almost a year and a half before that case that was filed then is able to get a green card issued. Now, this means their ability to get a green card issues. If there's delays in getting appointments, interview appointments, or there's administrative processing delays that I talked about, it'll take even more time than it does typically for a lot of nationals across the world. So minimum of 3 years right now, probably more for many countries that have larger populations as well, is how long it's going to take. Now, if your I-130 is approved after a year or after 2 years, it doesn't make a difference because this timeline has to move forward anyways. It may make a difference in the fact that the sooner you're able to get your case at the Department of State and get it documentally qualified, I mean, the paperwork's correct, the better position you have in line for your green card. But right now, because they know there's so much delay, they give less priority to reviewing these. And 2+ years of waiting, closer to 3 years when I'm recording this, what we're seeing for the I-130 to be approved is what the situation is right now. Now, the other alternative is if you're inside the United States and you have some sort of lawful status. So, if you're married to a citizen, you can be out of status, and many times it's okay as long as you enter lawfully. But when you're married to a green card holder, you have to have not only maintained status, lawful status, and you also should never have had other immigration violations in the past, in addition to other kind of immigration issues. Now, the USCIS Immigration Department internally in the United States under President Obama made a special situation where they say if you're here, we're going to create this second chart. I'm going to go back to the other page. This second chart that says dates for filing for family sponsored visa applications. So he said that if you're inside the United States, we give these better, more preferential timelines to be able to file a green card case. Essentially, the documents a qualified portion when you deal with the embassy. Do it inside the United States. The benefit of this is after you file this Form I-485 adjustment of status, you can just stay here, even if your status runs out, waiting for a decision on the case, an interview probably, as well as filing for a work permit and travel authorization. So it gives a big benefit for families to be together, not separated while this is all happening, which was makes it so important and so helpful. Now, USCIS every month, as the visa bulletin is updated by the Department of State, they also update and say this month we're going to use the date of filing chart, the worst timeline, or this month we're going to use the final action date. The final action is the worst timeline. Date of filing is the better. It's kind of annoying that they do that, but that's the situation that we have with them now this month. And typically they do say we're going to use the dates of filing, which is beneficial again if you're in the United States lawfully. A lot of times the student visa holders, sometimes H-1B, L-1 visa holders, and very less B-2 tourist visa holders because they can't maintain status long enough for the visa to be current many times. There's also other immigrant issues. I'm going to get into that here, but these kind of issues do pop up that I want you to be aware of. So just be mindful of these things about the delays that happen when you're outside versus the delays that can happen when you're inside. The delays are still there to get the final case approved. On the good side of it, if you're in the U.S., is that you can at least maintain your presence here and get the extra benefits of travel and work authorization. Now, I do want to mention two important points that pop up where people are in this situation. One is that if you become a U.S. citizen, the case will change. It's supposed to be faster. Having said that, even though the government itself is approving your citizenship, they don't tell the marriage green card portion of the government of the immigration department that you're a citizen now. So you have to inform them yourself. And many times they just don't get it, they don't understand, they don't update it. You got to call, pester to get them to speed up the case because you're in a faster line. Unfortunately, just because you became a citizen automatically means it's going to be faster, even though it's supposed to mean that, it doesn't. That's practical speaking. And secondly, if you have a child, a minor child, once you become a citizen, they get cut out of that case, and you have to have a separate petition for them. It creates a lot of havoc for them. So be careful about filing for citizenship if you're a green card holder, filing for a spouse, and you have a minor child, because they create a lot of problems for the child that's going through that. So I wanted you to be aware of these issues, then have an idea of what these timelines look on these marriage green card cases for lawful permanent residents. So much emphasis and talk on the videos. It's always about U.S. citizen spouses. There are probably more of those than LPR spouses. But it's very important to know because a lot of people are undergoing this and need to figure out what's going on in life. So we're going to get married, we're going to have kids, we're going to buy a house, we're going to move, there's work. How do the timelines look? Unfortunately, it's all over the place 3 to 5 years easily. Now, the visa bulletin timelines don't always move 1 month to 1 month. Every month doesn't move 1 month forward. You'll have 3 or 4 months where there's no movement, and all of a sudden 1 month it jumps 6 months forward, and sometimes it jumps 3 months backwards. It's completely unreliable. So that's why when people ask me how long these are taking, I'll say 3 to 5 years, maybe faster, maybe less, because there's really no factual way to know how the timelines are. Even the government doesn't. No one knows. It's just you kind of feel every month they update it, and especially when the fiscal year ends in end of September, things get reset, they recount it. They make errors probably too, and each country's different, each person's background different. The timelines, unfortunately, are just nothing you can rely upon. But general estimates, that's what it was. Thanks so much for listening. Please contact us, schedule a consultation. Go to jqqlaw.com/contact. Let's talk about your case and strategize the best way to move forward. Thanks for listening. I wish you all the best.